A very good afternoon to dignitaries, importers and exporters from India and Kuwait and media fraternity. Before we begin our program, may I remind you all to keep your phone on silent mode. I also request all the participants who joined us online to keep yourself on mute. We will unmute if required. Thank you for your cooperation. On behalf of the commercial section of the Indian Embassy, I, Saida Misbah, welcome you all to India-Kuwait Business Meet on Marine and Aquaculture Products organized in association with the Marine Products Export Development Authority, MPEDA, India. MPEDA regulates the exports of marine products and takes all measures required for ensuring sustained and quality seafood exports from India. Without much delay, let us start our program, and I would like to invite Mrs. Smita Patil, First Secretary of Political and Commerce, for welcome remarks. Welcome, ma'am.
Good afternoon to you all. It's indeed my great pleasure to welcome you all to this program. In fact, this is exactly 1 year from the event that we held last year on this very same day. And we thought, why not start our this year's activities of trade promotion to begin with from the same theme that we covered last year, that was marine products. And we got tremendous response from all of you from MPEDA, and that is how we thought of beginning this year with this program. This is actually a follow-up of what we discussed last year. We hope to have all of you who joined us last year to joining us now and discuss frankly the progress made in last year and the issues that are forthcoming. It is my privilege indeed to welcome Mr. K.S. Srinivasan, IAS Chairman of MPEDA. Welcome, sir. Dr. T.R. Jibin Kumar, Deputy Director, MPEDA. Welcome to you. We have our speakers from Kuwait here. Mr. Mohandas Kizake, Managing Director of Captain Fisher Foodstuff Company, had joined us in person here. And Mr. Alex Ninan is going to speak from India virtually. There is also a question and answer session if any of you want to ask questions, but I would suggest you can ask them in chat box and we can continue with the presentations at the end of this session. So thank you for joining once again. Since, as many of you know, that the COVID cases are on the rise in many parts of the world, and as is the case here in the state of Kuwait, and we have had a fresh spate of regulations announced just this week, and in view of them, we are keeping this program entirely virtually, and because of that, scheduling issues, Ambassador, His Excellency Shri Sibi George could not join us in person today, but we have his message. We just recorded it on video, so that we can get to hear his views as well. But he had to be at one program which had to be rescheduled because of the impending regulatory restrictions. So thank you, and on behalf of Ambassador also I welcome you all, and let us listen to his video message now.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to all of you. Let me begin by wishing you all a very happy and healthy New Year 2022. It gives me great pleasure to address you all today and welcome you all to today's conference, which is our first event in the new year. It is the follow-up to the virtual buyer-sellers meeting on marine products, which was held exactly 1 year ago on 6 January 2021. Since our interaction last year, we have seen a steady increase in the exports of marine products from India to Kuwait, also coinciding with return back to normalcy and increase in economic activity. Dear friends, I am happy to learn that in this financial year, from April to December 2021 alone, India has exported marine products worth $36.1 million US dollars to Kuwait. I am sure we will surpass the 39.112 million US dollars of exports during the last financial year. I welcome Sri K.S. Srinivas, Chairman of Marine Products Export Development Authority, India. I am sure that his remarks will help you all gain further insights in seafood industry in India and its prospects in Kuwait. Dear friends, I am happy to note that Mr. Mohandas Kizake, MD of Captain Fisher Foodstuff Company, a well-known name in the seafood market in Kuwait, will be speaking to us. We also have industry representatives from Kuwait and India joining us today. I am sure that this interaction will help our stakeholders in collaboration with EMPEDA. Our commerce wing of the embassy is always available for any of your queries regarding export to Kuwait. With this, I wish you once again a happy new year and success to all your endeavors in the new year. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, I request our speaker from India who has joined us virtually, Sri K.S. Srinivas, IAS, Chairman of EMPEDA, to address us.
His Excellency Sri C.B. Katyuji, the Ambassador, and the First Secretary, Srimati Smita Patil, First Secretary, Political and Commerce, Embassy of India, Kuwait, and all the participants from both India and Kuwait, especially the people who are going to give some presentations, like Mr. Mohandas Kirake, Managing Director of Captain Fisher Foodstuff Company. And from Indian side, Mr. Alex Nainan will be participating, and then he'll be sharing his experiences from India, from Kochi, and all my officers from MBDA and my exporter friends from India and all the importers from Kuwait. I also wish you a very, very happy New Year 2022, and it gives me a great pleasure in understanding that the embassy in Kuwait is taking up marine products promotion in a very big way, and I'm very happy to know that in this calendar year, this is their first event, and I'm very happy that their first event is with marine products export. So I'm really happy that clearly shows how much importance they are giving to the marine products. And coming to the exports, as you know, last year India has exported almost about $6 billion worth of marine products in 2021, and I'm so very happy to inform you all that this year we have got a target of $7.8 billion from the Ministry of Commerce, and I am again happy to announce that whatever we have achieved in the last calendar year, we could achieve it in the first 9 months of this financial year, and in fact we have crossed that. We have crossed that 5993 barrier, and now we are now into 6110. So we have achieved a performance of nearly $6.1 billion by the end of December. So I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty confident that the target given by the Ministry of Commerce will be achieved by the end of March. And coming to Middle East market is one of the important markets for India. And in 2021, we have exported almost 48,000 metric tons of seafood worth around $250 million. And within Middle East, I think UAE is the most important country, and second most important country in the Middle East is Kuwait. And I'm very happy today that we are having this very, very important meeting because Kuwait is a very, very important country for us, because especially I'm a Kerala cadre officer, so I know how much importance Kerala gives to Kuwait and the Middle East, and so many Indian diaspora is working there. This non-resident Keralites, especially working in Kuwait, tremendous. I mean, considerable population is living in Kuwait, and then I'm sure they all will have nostalgic feelings, and then they all would love to have the products from India. So there is definitely a tremendous scope for enhancing. And I fully agree with the ambassador who said that already we are almost crossed the last year's exports figure from India to Kuwait, and we'll be able to do much better. If you look at the figures, in 1920, we just had export of around 4,500 metric tons. And in 2021, it was nearly 5,800 metric tons in 2021. I'm sure in 21-22, it would be much more than that. It will be more than 6,000 metric tons. And then value would be more than $40 million, definitely, with Kuwait. So I understand that there are certain issues with I have inquired about what are the issues between India and Kuwait as far as marine products export is concerned. They're saying there are certain issues like the white spot syndrome virus is a problem. And as you know, we say WSSV is not only prevalent in India, but throughout the world. You name any country, I think it is there. Most of the countries it is there. So that is why because of this, I think Kuwait is not able to import more of our products. As you know, the frozen shrimp is the most important product exported from India, followed by frozen fish and other things. And there is definitely a lot of scope for export of live and chilled marine products from India to Kuwait, because the distance is not much. Maybe the flight distance, maybe 3 hours maximum. So if we have a lot of, we have the air connectivity, definitely we will be able to export more of these live and chilled fish, chilled items. And then maybe I think we need to work on those lines. We need to request the airlines to run wide-bodied aircrafts between India, mostly on the western coast, maybe Mumbai and Kochi. From these airports, I think there can be flights to Kuwait, and then already flights are there, but they do not take these cargo, especially the frozen cargo. They are not able to take. Certain restrictions are there. They have to pay minimum for 500 kilos, whether the consignment is 500 or 200 or 100, the rate is same. So there are certain issues we need to resolve these issues. And coming back to the WSSV problem, I just want to have one suggestion. If we are able to give a certificate that our products, whatever consignments we are trying to export to Kuwait, if they are coming with a certificate that they are free from WSSV, then I'm sure we'll be able to export more. So my request to the Embassy of India in Kuwait is to work on this, and then try to understand, try to get this type of an arrangement between Indian authorities and the Kuwait authorities, so that the export can increase from India, and we will be able to reach better figures in the years to come. And I'm very happy to understand that nearly 100 people are participating in this virtual buyer-seller meet, and my best wishes to all of them. And I'm sure there will be a very good interaction between them. And I don't want to give too many details, because I know Mr. Jibin Kumar is waiting for his turn, because he is supposed to give a presentation on the seafood exports to Middle East and Kuwait. So I don't want to take that credit from him. So let him do that. And also I'm looking forward to the presentations by Mr. Mohandas Kerakke and my good friend Mr. Alex Naina, who is from same Kochi. So these two presentations I am really interested to understand. And then so many, I'm sure you must be having a lot of questions, all the participants, nearly 100 participants. And if you leave out maybe 10 to 15 of MPEDA participants, then I'm sure at least 70 participants are there from both the sides, both India and Kuwait. I'm sure they'll have a lot of questions, and then there will be a question and answer session. And for that, our Dr. Ram Mohan is here to sort out, to clarify all your doubts. And then because he is a very experienced man, experienced person, and a knowledgeable person, so I'm sure he'll be able to understand, he'll be able to clarify all your doubts. And the idea is to enhance the exports, because as far as this particular division is concerned, this comes under, I think, WANA. WANA, is it WANA? WANA, West Asia and North Africa. We are falling short. We are falling short of the target. Actually, the target given to WANA division is around $466 million dollars, but we have done only around 50% of that. So still about 50% is still there. And when since we are talking in cricket language these days, so every month we have to achieve at least $75 million worth of exports. So in the next 3 months to come, I hope you'll be able to achieve at least 50% of this, and then try to achieve at least to 75% of this. So this is my my request, and please, I hope this VBSM will be fruitful and useful to both the sides, and I hope something positive will come out of this meeting. And once again, I am wishing you all a very happy and prosperous and safe New Year 2022. And thank you very much.
Next, we have a presentation on seafood exports to Middle East and Kuwait by Dr. T.R. Jibin Kumar, Deputy Director of Market Promotion and Statistics, MPEDA. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the invitation. I thank Mr. K. Srinivas, Honorable Chairman of MPEDA, for giving me the opportunity to do the presentation on behalf of MPEDA. So I also thank Embassy of India in Kuwait for making this kind of joint venture possible. And as Madam has already mentioned, Madam has already mentioned, we had done a similar program exactly 1 year before, on 6th January 2021. And after 1 year, we are again back to Kuwait with this buyer-seller meet. So with these few words, I just share my screen. So I request all the participants to ask more questions, and you can do the questions via chat. So we'll be combining this question answers, and we'll try to answer in the question answer session handled by Mr. Dr. Ram Mohan MK, Joint Director of MPEDA in looking after quality control. Over to the presentation. So this is a buyer-seller meet, and this presentation is based on the seafood exports to Middle East. Okay. So coming to the basic statistics of Indian fisheries, this is all familiar slide for most of the people. We have a coastline of about 8118 kilometers and exclusive economic zone of about 2.02 million square kilometers, and we have a very large resources in the continental shelf, brackish water area, freshwater area, and we are the second largest producer of fish in the world after China, and sixth largest producer of capture fisheries, and second largest aquaculture producer after China. And we are facing a very tight competition for the second position from Ecuador. And coming to the Indian seafood export scenario, as per the Globfish, India is the fourth largest exporter of seafood, and India is the largest supplier of frozen shrimp to USA. For the last continuous 6 to 7 years, we are the top supplier of frozen shrimp to USA, and we are the third largest supplier of shrimp to European Union, and fourth largest supplier of frozen shrimp to Japan. And we are the largest supplier of cephalopods to European Union. And coming to MPEDA, the Marine Product Export Development Authority is a statutory body under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, set up in 1972 by an Act of Parliament. And as well, from 1961, we had the presence, the name of Marine Product Export Promotion Council from 1961 onwards. So it is a nodal agency for the promotion of the export of marine products from the country. and entrusted with overall development, including infrastructure, regulation, promotion. So MPEDA exercises quality control throughout the supply chain. It undertakes R&D activities in the sector for commercial purposes. And MPEDA is the nodal agency or competent authority for a variety of certificates like European Union CAT certificate, and the competent authority to validate ICAT statistical document, and the competent authority to validate DS2031A mandatory document for export of shrimps to USA, and also certifies non-radioactive activity of certain fishes, dolphin-free certificates, billfishes, etc. Also been issued by MPEDA. MPEDA also a nodal agency for issuing certificate of origin under the most preferential and preferential trade agreement and duty-free import certificates, etc. And it is we are very successful to make all these certificates are being issued in the online condition. From the very beginning of the COVID itself, we have converted all the certificate issuing platform to online. So coming to the network of MPEDA, we have almost officers almost around the maritime states from Porbandar to Kolkata, and we have about 8 regional divisions across the country, 10 sub-regional divisions, 3 trade promotion officers, 1 in New Delhi, 1 in New York, and 1 in Tokyo, Japan. We have about 5 fully fledged laboratories for the testing of marine products. We also have 3 societies, namely Netfish, NAXA, and RGCA. And about ELISA laboratory, we have set up almost 16 ELISA labs for testing the presence of detecting antibiotics in aquaculture shrimp. And we also have Aqua One centers, 20 Aqua One centers also set up by MPEDA for facilitating in the testing of soil and water for farmers. So quickly going through the export performance of marine products during last year, that is 2020-21. So during last financial year, we have exported around 11.5 million metric ton of seafood, worth about 5.96 billion. And the USA and China are the major importers of Indian seafoods, and frozen shrimp continue to be the major export item, followed by frozen fish. You can see it from the table below, the growth when compared to 2019-20. So 2019-20, when we compare, there was a decline in exports, both in quantity and in value. So in quantity, we had about export reduction of about 10.87%, and in US dollar, it's around 10.81%. But the unit value, we can see the unit value remain almost the same during the last 2 years. So this is also a big issue since because of the unit value has not changed, even though we have exported items. So that's the main problem because of the drop in exports. So coming to the decadal export performance, we have performed very well from last 10 years. 10 to 12 years. From 2010-11 onwards, we rose from 2.8 billion to 7.8 in 2017-18. That was the peak exports recorded during the 2017-18, and afterwards, during the continuously last 3 years, we were experiencing a drop in exports due to various issues. And currently, India exports to around 112 countries. And the top countries, 5 countries, that is USA, China, Japan, Vietnam, and Thailand. They contribute around 70.72% of our total exports. And USA is the top market for the last 6 years. So the world trade is around 2020 is around 142 billions, and Indian share is around 4%. And the world trade is growing at a CAGR of about 4%. And during 2021-22, Ministry has set a target of US $7.8 billion. And from last year 2020-21, it requires an year-on-year growth of over 31%, 31.09% growth is required to achieve this target in the current year. So item-wise exports, we can see the frozen shrimp continue to be the major item of exports in terms of quantity and value. So 5.9 lakh metric ton frozen shrimp has been exported last year, fetching a revenue of 4.4 billion US dollars. And it accounts for a share of 51% in terms of quantity and 74.3% in terms of total US dollar earnings. And among that, Vanami shrimps, Pacific white-leg shrimp, constituted almost 83% of the total shrimp export, both in quantity and US dollar value. And frozen shrimp and surimi products secured second and third position in terms of quantity and value. The other major items included cuttlefish, squid, and dried items. So you can see the item-wise export pie charts. You can see the frozen shrimp 74% in terms of value and 51% in terms of quantity. And other items are frozen fish, squid. And last year, the specific, it was noticed that other items, the export of surimi and value-added surimi products, analog products, have come up like anything. So that the third position, they have taken the third position in terms of value after frozen fish. Earlier, it used to be the frozen cuttlefish and squid used to get the third and fourth positions. And regarding the market-wise exports, we can see USA, China, and EU are the top three markets, followed by Southeast Asia, Japan, Middle East, including Kuwait and other markets. USA with a US dollar share of 41.15%. It's a very big share taken by USA, and imported 2.92 lakh metric ton of seafood worth 2.45 billion. And retained the first position. China with a share of 15.8%, imported 2.2 lakh metric ton worth 0.94 billion and become the second largest market, while EU with the US dollar share of 13.8% imported about 1.52 lakh metric ton worth 0.82 billion and become the third largest market. You can see the pie diagrams of market-wise exports in terms of value as well as quantity. So USA in terms of value having the 41% share, China 16%, European Union 14%, Southeast Asia 11%, other market having 7%, Japan is also having 7%, and Middle East is having 4% share. So if you look at the export performance in the current year, up to December data has been out, we can see the export target fixed for marine products for 2021-22 is about 7.8 billion US dollars, and the target fixed for April to December was 5.85, and we have achieved around 6.1 billion US dollars. So the target fixed was 75% achievement, but we have achieved more, 3% more we have achieved, and our achievement is around 78% in the current financial year. So if we look at the foreign trade territorial division wise achievement, export target and achievement, you can see the NAFTA, which include the USA, Canada, Mexico, etc. They have achieved almost 88% of the target, and Northeast Asia, which includes China, Japan, Korea, had achieved 85%. Both these regions have achieved more than the target set of 75%. And Europe, CIS, and Latin American countries also having that high potential to grow and achieve the target also. So you can see the first major markets like NAFTA, Northeast Asia, Europe, and ASEAN. They contribute about 88% of the total exports from the country. So overall, we have achieved 78% against the target of 75%. So this year, in spite of lot of issues, we are on the track. So coming to the Middle East. So exports to Middle East, it is the 6th largest destination of Indian seafood, with a share of 4.22% in terms of US dollar value. And compared to 2019-20, market has shown decline of 15, 11 and 15% in terms of quantity, rupee value, and US dollar terms respectively. And frozen shrimp continue to be the major item of exports, which constitute about 72.23%. So main stake of Indian seafood to Middle East is also dependent on the frozen shrimp. In terms of US dollar value, it is having a share of 72.23%. So you can see the graph of Middle East exports. It is almost hovering around 2.76 to 276 million. And last year it has come down to 251. And you can see the target set for 2021-22 is about 414 million US dollars. So performance of top countries in Middle East. So UAE is the largest market for Indian products in Middle East, and it has in the last year, comparing to last year, it has a share of 2.7% in the total Indian exports and 63% of share in the Middle East countries. The next important country is the Kuwait. Kuwait is having 0.7% of our total Indian exports and around 15.4% share in the Middle East market, followed by Qatar, Oman, Iran, Bahrain, and other countries. So exports to Kuwait, India has exported about 5833 metric tons of seafood worth 38.77 million to Kuwait during last year, 2021. And we can see the exports of Kuwait is increasing since 2017-18. In the last 5 years, Indian seafood has increased from 28.35 to 38.77 million. And 38.77 last year was the all-time high export value for Indian seafood to Kuwait. You can see the export graph, which is going up. So the last year we have achieved 38.77%, and the export target set for this year is around 48.2%. And coming to the major items exported to Kuwait is the frozen shrimp with a share of 63.17%, and the frozen shrimp value was around 3936 million metric ton worth 24.49 million. Frozen fish is the second major item with the 22.6% share, followed by chilled items with a share of 13.68%. Dried item and other items include surmi and surmi unlocked products are also exported to Kuwait. So we can see the item-wise exports in terms of quantity as well as value. So percentage of shrimp, frozen shrimp, chilled items, dried items is mentioned here. So frozen shrimp with a 67% value quantity is getting a revenue of 63.17%. So we can see in this slide, we can see that export target set for major Middle East market and the achievement so far up to December. We can see in that Israel is almost achieved that almost passed the target and reached about 88% we have achieved. And Kuwait, we are correct on the mark. So the required percentage was 75%, and we have exported 75% till December. So 3 more months are left. So hopefully we'll be able to achieve the target set for Kuwait. And other countries, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Oman, Qatar are also promising markets. We expect target achievement in these countries also: Saudi, Iraq, Oman, Kuwait, Qatar, and UAE. So see the export target and achievement. The target set for the whole Middle East for 2020-21 is $414, and as on December 2021, the achievement is $225.02 million. The percentage achievement is around 54.4%, which is low compared to the required. And the required percentage is around 75% in the first 9 months. The export during the April to December has shown when compared to last year 2020-21, the export has grown. So during last year, during April to December period in 2020, the export was only 187.83. But now this year we have almost achieved to 25.02 million. So there is a export growth to Middle East for of about 20%. So it is anticipated that export to Middle East will be a all-time high this year. And the target for Kuwait is 48.24 million. And achievement till now is around 36.05 million. And we have on the track. We are on the track. About 75% has been achieved. And it is anticipated that exports to Kuwait also will be touching a new record this year. So this slide is showing a share of Indian seafood in Kuwait. So we have searched the trade map data for the last 5 years, and it was around 35% in 2016. Now and 35 million during 2016. Around 16.78% was our market share in Kuwait. But now in last year it has been reduced to 13.54%. So you can see that there is a lot of hope. At least we can increase our percentage from 13 to 20% share in the Kuwaiti market, and it will be a great achievement for India. And the second graph, you can see the performance by top 3 countries: Iran, Pakistan, and India. So last year we have witnessed a very quick rise in the exports from Iran, and export from Pakistan and India is almost going in the same pace. So with this, some of the reasons for shortfall for exports to Kuwait, as this is also applicable to Middle East also. So there is a biosecurity issues due to the white spot syndrome virus. The Kuwait has imposed a temporary ban on the import of fresh, chilled, and frozen banana shrimps from India. So as of now, there is no exports happening. Direct exports is not happening from India to Kuwait. So since vanami is our major product, the ban on imports of vanami will be having a very serious effect on exports from India. And connecting to that, there is a low air connectivity due to this COVID issue. There is a connectivity issues is also there, and number of cargo flights between India and Kuwait are also reduced. And some cargo flights, they have issues. Exporters have reported that they have issues of non-accepting seafood cargo. So such an issues are there, since chilled fish and live fish, it is a near destination for India. We can catch that market with a very ease if connectivity is restored. And some exporters also raised the issue of middleman agents in Kuwait, and they are also present in the Middle East market also. There are some non-payment issue because of we cannot confirm the authenticity of buyers. Such kind of issues are also prevailing in Kuwait and Middle East. And we have taken action, and we have already written the issue of WSOC issue with Embassy of India to take up with the appropriate agency in Kuwait for lifting this temporary ban. And we also conducted business meet and vessel sale meet 1 year before, and with that we have almost achieved a very good jump in the exports to Kuwait in last year and this year. So with this, I have come to end of this presentation. Thank you.
May I now invite Shri Mohandas Kizake, Managing Director of Captain Fisheries Foodstuff Company, Kuwait, for his remarks on seafood market updates in Kuwait. You're welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Respected His Eminence, the Ambassador, Sri C.B. George, for his virtual talk, welcoming everyone. First Secretary, Madam Smita Patel, for giving me this opportunity to be in this august occasion. Chairman, MPDA, Sri K.S. Srinivas, for his introduction and insight into what he has in mind. Deputy Director, MPDA, T.R. Jibin Kumar, for his very detailed analysis of the trade situation. I'm looking forward to listen to Regional President, Seafood Exporters Association, Sri Alex Nainan. Distinguished guests here who are present and also in attendance virtually elsewhere. At the outset, let me convey to everyone the best wishes for this event and New Year greetings from my partner and chairman, Sri Ali Mohammed Dukan. Madam Smita Patel told me to share my experience in seafood imports, and therefore I think I'm prepared to sort of convey to you how the seafood exports evolved in India over the past 50 years. Incidentally, MPDA is set up in 1972, the year in which I joined the seafood industry. So MPDA is 50 years old as of today or this year, and that is the length of my career as of now. Growing up in the 60s, I was in Calicut, Kerala, as a student, school student. I can recall every now and then fish vendors coming into our housing colony in their baskets. There would be two baskets perched, balancing between one pole, and they would be slowly jogging, not walking or running, to sell their fish on a daily basis. By the end of the day, these fish merchants would have sold a part of their stock, but still there would be some stock that is unsold. They would offer it free of cost. We had not seen shrimp at all. All of a sudden, shrimp made its appearance. It was something new. Nobody knew what to do with that kind of seafood. There were some lobsters also, if I may recall. There were no buyers for shrimp. Gradually, people started getting used to the local catch. Can you imagine? I can recall large amounts, quantities of fresh white head-on shrimp being dumped at the base of the coconut trees as manure. This was the situation in the 1960s. I joined a startup seafood export company as soon as my MBA was over, and that was in 1972. In 4 years' time, we were awarded the best seafood exporter for that category. We received a medal from the President of India at that point of time. That was the most exciting period of my career, which saw my personal growth parallel to the growth of MPDA. I've known the very first chairman of MPDA, Sri T.P.A. Nair, IAS, and I was among the many young volunteers to organize the first seafood international show. Today, 23 seafood shows later, I'm waiting to hear the confirmation for the seafood show in 2022. I'm associated with seafood exports from India as a packer to begin with, and later as a buyer based in Dubai, and moved over to Kuwait, Doha, and now in Kuwait for the past 11 years. The seafood exports have undergone a sea change during these 5 decades that I've been a part of. In the 70s, exports consisted of seafood, mainly sea-caught shrimp, almost all of it. At that time, frog legs was also an important item for exports, which was within the ambit of seafood exports or agriculture. It was banned after several years, and the main market for that was America. Talking of shrimp, you would be amazed to know, today almost all the processing plants are using the sophisticated machinery to grade the shrimps. But I'm not too sure how many of you can remember, way back in the 70s, it was the Kerala ladies who used to grade the shrimp. Put a heap of shrimp in front of each lady. There would be about 4 or 5 on one side of the table and another 4 or 5 on the other side of the table. There would be heaps of shrimp. By the touch of the shrimp with their delicate hands, they can estimate which size this would be belonging to. One soft touch, and they would toss it to the correct basket. There would be several baskets for each grade. The margin of error would be so small that it would be amazing to know that these girls can grade the shrimps so accurately. Later, the numbers of these highly skilled shrimp grading girls got to be, fell into the decline. And it took years of very sophisticated research and development by the machinery companies to substitute these girls. Shipment of shrimp cargo was always an enjoyable and rewarding experience those days. Loading of cargo was directly into the hatch of the vessels. The containers came much later. So there used to be port cranes with a sling and a pallet. 50 cartons could be loaded into the pallet, and it would be lifted by the port crane and directly unloaded into the hatch of the vessel. The integrity of the exporters were taken for granted during those early years. It was just a random inspection of the export cargo, and it was all exported. Anything and everything which was easy, there are people to take advantage of this situation. Customs examination at that time consisted of only random sampling. Therefore, many exporters, which mushroomed like anything. Hundreds and hundreds of exporters mushroomed in the 70s. Not all of them were very sincere in their intention. There were black ships, there were fly-by-night operators who took advantage of this situation and in their desire to get very rich. God, in his infinite wisdom, decided, in the case of some of them, enough was enough, and he pulled the plug, and a pallet of 50 cartons from the crane sling fell down, and with a big thud, the entire cargo was splattered in the floor. Normally, you would expect to see shrimp in such a case, but it so happened that it was all just block of ice. Regulations to monitor the quality and to make sure that people were exporting what they were supposed to do took time. the crooks are always ahead of the brains that were working to control them. But thanks to those crooks, today we have a system in place where the quality of seafood exported is by and large as per the specifications of the buyer. I'm told that the exporters can trace the shrimp to the specific pond from which it is coming, and that is all due to the MPDA's efforts and EIA strict quality control. As a buyer in Dubai in late 90s, shrimp imports consisted of mainly head-on scampi. Every hotel, restaurant used to be consuming only head-on scampi. Gradually, this was replaced by the headless black tiger. From headless black tiger, the shift was towards the sea-caught white shrimps of various species, white flower tiger, brown, etc. Therefore, there has been a change in the trend of shrimp that was consumed in the Middle East. Today, it's all about Vainami. Black tiger is almost consigned to history. Sea-caught shrimps became dearer and rarer, whereas the aquacultured farm shrimp became more popular for various technical reasons. I'm not going into the details of it. What the future holds, we do not know. Today, Vainami is so widely used, there is no replacement for Vainami. But what's going to be happening over the next decade or two, we are not too very sure. Not very relevant now, but let me narrate a very funny incident in my experience of importing black tiger shrimp into Kuwait. Just in 2004, we exported 500 kgs of black tiger shrimp by air from Bombay. Landed in Kuwait, the customs people saw the black tiger shrimp, and immediately they all rejected it, saying that a black-colored shrimp is definitely decomposed and unfit for human consumption. Well, I can't blame them. They were not racial, but at the same time, a black-colored shrimp they had never seen. Therefore, it was definitely bound to scare them. I had to rush to the airport to clear this consignment and explain to them, but no amount of explanation can make them understand that this is edible, fit for human consumption. I called for a frying pan, hot plate, boiled some water, put the shrimp, black tiger shrimp into the water. They were all looking into it, and in a few minutes' time, the magic happened. The black tiger shrimp turned into pink-colored, beautiful shrimp. I opened the shell and I chewed into it. They were expecting me to collapse or something to happen, but nothing happened. I told them to taste it themselves. Very slowly and carefully they tasted and said it's very good. And that was how the black tiger shrimp made its entry into Kuwait market. Whereas elsewhere, black tiger shrimp was highly sought after. So I'm trying to say that Kuwait had lagged behind the world trend from the beginning. And even today, the regulations are such that it takes time to be in sync with the rest of the area. Kuwait, for example, was used to fresh flower variety of shrimp as a local catch in abundance. This was of the best quality, I can say, in the world, equal to our mandabam flower in India. But Kuwait shrimp commanded a premium of over $2 per kilo in the Japanese market. So this was the quality which which the local population is getting used to, or has got used to all over. Only in recent times, I mean to say in 15 to 20 years' time, that the local market has got the taste of shrimp, aquaculture shrimp, and other varieties. In Kuwait, the gradual conversion has happened in the seafood industry, with the sea-caught products availability decreasing. If you can look back, Kuwait had a rich harvest of big-sized, jumbo-sized U10, 1020 white head-on shrimp. Today, the percentage of the big sizes is very small. It's mostly the small sizes and medium sizes. And therefore, the demand for the big sizes is very much there, and this is now met by the imported aquaculture shrimp. The trend for the future, we are not too sure, but we know one thing for sure: the changes in climate is causing variations in the culture pattern and availability. In return, this unpredictable nature of availability of farm shrimp is causing a lot of problems for the importers like us to plan our sales and our targets. Another major challenge aquaculture industry is facing is the diseases outbreak from time to time. We will be knowing more about it from the presentation of the Seafood Exporters Association President. Though this challenge is there, the industry as well as the government bodies have adopted the policy, live with the disease. And R&D comes up with solutions to troubleshoot any occurrences of diseases such as this. As of now, the success ratio is good, but we are not too sure. In whichever way one can look at, the sustainable best option is to treat the nature in the best possible way. The diseases, The diseases will continue to come as the majority of these are caused by virus. We have R&D by the government, private sector, and best aquaculture practices, hoping to combat the threat of virus, or living with the disease is the next option. COVID-19 has switched the customer demand to another pattern. Unlike earlier, the retail packing has picked up. And this trend is likely to continue. The retail products in the form of ready-to-eat and ready-to-cook are in high demand. This trend has brought latest technologies to the processing industry in terms of freezing, packing, and grading. In recent times, there has been unrealistic increase in the freight cost and availability of vessels and limited availability of containers. This is another ongoing challenge importers and exporters are currently facing. Where do you think most of the fish we eat come from? The ocean? Wrong. Rivers and lakes? Wrong again. It's from fish farms. Various seafood varieties have emerged as the largest group in agricultural exports in India and elsewhere. A word of caution. Many fish varieties will be in decline as a result of climate change, ocean acidification, overfishing, and destruction of marine ecosystems. As per the expert researchers, the temperature fluctuation and carbon dioxide emission continue to trend high, so too will the species that fishermen encounter in the region, meaning the dinner plates will be featuring very different fish as time goes on. The types of fish that we will have on our dinner plate will be very different in the future. Fishermen will be catching more warm water species with smaller size, and that will affect the fish supply. Let us hope we can live in peace and in good health, even with corona or florona or omicron or whatever, for which we must be ready. It is not the infection that counts, but that we must be concerned how best each of us as individuals can be disciplined to respect the right of others to safety. Thank you very much. Wish you all a good day.
Thank you very much, sir. May I now request Shri Alex Ninan, Regional President of Seafood Exporters Associations of India, SEAI, Kerala, to share his experiences and valuable inputs. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. His Excellency, Mr. C.B. Jones, Respected Chairman, Mr. Srinivas, Srimati Smita Patil, First Secretary, Mr. Mohan Das, other importers and friends from Kuwait, members of MPD team, fellow exporters and dear friends. A very good afternoon to you all and a very happy New Year to one and all. It gives me great pleasure to be here in this interactive meeting, or I would rather say it's for further developing of the seafood trade between India and Kuwait. So I don't have a presentation to share, but being the president of the Kerala Regional Seafood Exporters Association and a member of the National Managing Committee, I will speak more on behalf of the exporters here. As you all are aware, a lot many businesses and many workers are also there in the developed country of Kuwait. I hail from the state of Kerala, which has got a very good relationship with Kuwait and the Middle East. And the products from here have an important place there. So it was really great and nice to hear from Mr. Mohandas, his old memories of the seafood industry in India. I had heard all these same stories from my father, KZ9, and managing partner of the Weber Group, who has been in this industry since 1969. I was also part witness to the hatch loading before the containerization happened. And I had also witnessed the small size shrimps being taken for drying and then later for menu purposes. I think that times have changed so much. Now I remember, recently after I all got into the industry, I remember exporting several containers of frozen sea-caught white shrimps to Kuwait. This a few years back. I can tell you the prices were very highly competitive compared to the EU markets also. In 2017, all these things were happening. As you are aware, and as MPD chairman had mentioned, Kuwait has imposed a temporary ban on the import of aquaculture shrimps from India due to the WSSP. This has affected the export of frozen shrimps to Kuwait. I understand that the demand for fresh fish and shrimp in Kuwait is likely to exceed the sustainable potential of its fishery resources. So with the increased awareness of the health benefits of fish consumption, the demand for fish has increased significantly and has far exceeded the local supply. This phenomenon in Kuwait is thus forcing vendors to import frozen and fresh fish as well from abroad to meet their increasing demand. So this will be a good opportunity for India to become a major supplier of fishery products to Kuwait. We had seen in the earlier slide that UAE stood first, followed by Kuwait. Now, definitely here is a huge potential. Now, Mr. Jibin had earlier mentioned regarding India with its vast coastline, having diverse marine species and recent developments in the area of sustainable seafood, is marching towards being the #1 exporting country in the world. Kuwait, being one of the top economies in the world with very high GDP and per capita income, will be a great partner for India. Now, presently, products from India are going to China, Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, etc. then they're getting it valued there and then being re-exported to Kuwait and other Middle East countries. My question is, why can't we do that here and eliminate the middle parties? So definitely, we now we have a state-of-the-art factories in India, and we have our farms fully controlled. We have our landing centers, all getting to international levels as well. Now people are aware of quality. How seafood should be handled. All these things are happening here. So definitely, we are looking for partners who are willing to invest in India for value addition as well. Maybe I'm sure you're aware of in the Lulu Group in Dubai. They have started making investments in Indian factories. Not only that, even Alana also, they have started investing in factories also in India. And the advantage right now is, see, the time taken for air travel between the two countries only with 3 to 4 hours, depending on the state. And by sea route is only about 7 to 10 days, maybe that's it. So I'm sure we can certainly cooperate to take this seafood trade to greater heights. And I wish everyone the very best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Now let us watch the video of Embassy's trade promotion activities the last year. Thank you all. I now request Dr. Ram Mohan, MK, Joint Director of Quality Control, MPERA, to take over the event for question answer session.
Thank you, Ms. Ba. Good afternoon to everyone. I hope I'm audible.
There is some echo.
Yeah, actually, IMPEDA has invited questions from the exporters to be asked to Mr. Mohandas and others. And I will just quickly go through a few questions. Basically, exporters are eager to know how the COVID-19 and the related lockdowns and other restrictions have affected the Kuwait market. May I request Mr. Mohandas to throw some light on the same, please.
Thank you. COVID lockdown started in March 2020, continued till July 2021. During these months, exports continued from India, and our own imports also had continued. Okay, during the short period of full lockdown, there were no sales, and there were no restaurants open, therefore, and it affected the sales locally. But the imports did continue. We were receiving the containers, and we were able to clear the containers. Of course, we had certain problems here and there. But that apart, the industry did not come to a standstill. And if you look at the overall statistics, during this lockdown period and corona period, business had not really suffered. The moment the lockdown was relaxed, the business has picked up, and it had made up more than what it had lost during the bad months. I'm talking more from my own perspective, which may be definitely reflecting the industry average. Madam Smita Patel can also endorse what I'm saying, that total imports into Kuwait, even during the corona period and after, had not really fallen down. In fact, it had actually registered a slight increase. So to that extent, we can say that the virus was the loser, and we had overcome this epidemic to a great extent. Would that satisfy your question, sir?
I think it clears the doubt, because the doubt might have arisen because a lot of Indian diaspora has came back from Kuwait to their own home states or countries, and all that may be the reason. But would you please tell us which is the most fast-moving seafood item in the Kuwait market? Whether it is frozen, there's an affinity for frozen seafood, or it is for chilled seafood. And among these seafood, whether it is for shrimps or other fishes, would you please throw some light on this based on your experience, please?
As Jibin Kumar had analyzed the figures very minutely, 75% of the imports are in frozen shrimp. And chilled shrimp, yes, they do come, or they also contribute a very small percentage, and the rest of the seafood. But by and large, frozen shrimp, especially Vaname, IQF, would constitute the bulk of the imports. The quantity of imports into Kuwait from India can certainly increase sizably if Kuwait government withdraws the ban on imports of shell fish, that is to say, head-on or EC peel variety which has a shell. So these are the two varieties that are banned for direct import. But what happens is that these varieties get exported from India to Dubai or UAE, where they are, if I may say so, re-exported into Kuwait with the health certificate issued by UAE. Therefore, there is some work for the embassy to do, and there is some work for the MPDA as well as Indian government to take up this issue in which we have absolutely no say. But if that happens, there can be an increase in the value and quantity of shrimp exports from India to Kuwait.
Thank you, sir. And with the robust figures as shown by Dr. Jibin, I am hopeful that the forecast for the Kuwait market also will be healthy in the coming months. And one more question is there. Actually, Alex Nainan was talking about the value addition which is happening in the Southeast Asian market, and why can't the Indian, infrastructure can be utilized for producing value-added products? What are the major types of value-added products which are consumed by the populace in Kuwait? Can you please tell us?
Value addition, especially in the retail packing, is now the trend, and there's certainly a lot of scope for investments into this sector and exporters also to have a parallel retail packing section, because that is, I think, that's how the trend is going from a commodity imports and trading to value-added products targeting the retail market and the retail buyers. There, the volumes are picking up significantly, especially after the COVID months. This trend, if it continues, I'm sure that it will encourage many exporters to set up retail packing. But at the same time, Kuwait has a limitation in terms of the market size. It is not as big as UAE, and to the extent that Kuwait has the retail outlets, I think it is very soon nearing the saturation point, because we are in the retail market ourselves, and we have tried. We are facing situations wherein the retail market is unable to exhibit our products in addition to the product ranges that they have already. So there is a kind of a situation that is saturating the market. I'm not too sure, I may be wrong, but I wish the market can take in much more than what it is right now in terms of value-added retail packed products.
Right. We also have a couple of questions on the scope of tuna, especially in chilled form, as well as the loins of tuna and other swordfish varieties, and the scope for dried fish in Kuwait and Middle East market.
I'm not too sure about the scope here. I must confess my ignorance, but I can only say that the demand for this is very infinitely small.
Thank you, sir. And there's another question on the the policies adopted by GCC or Kuwait to attract seafood businesses in Kuwait or even in aquaculture in Kuwait. Can you, being an investor and a successful operator of seafood value chain in Kuwait, you may be able to properly guide the people who have asked the questions, sir?
There have been many attempts, but the local authorities have to be a little more flexible and proactive in allowing this to happen. I suppose Indian Embassy would be the best competent authority to throw more light on that. But as an industrialist, as one from the industry, I can say that there is a need for a lot more to happen in the industry within Kuwait for people like us to feel there is scope for expansion.
So these are the questions which we have already received, and if my colleagues or any other person, exporter who is attending the event today, if they are willing to ask any questions, they can very well ask a couple of questions before we move on to the next item. Because I have not got any more questions in the chat. A couple of questions we received in the chat has already been answered. Yeah, there's a question on Indian major carbs, because we see the aquaculture produce of India from hinterland mostly contributed by Indian major crops. Is there any scope for the varieties like Katla, Rohu, and Mrigal among the Indian diaspora or other retail outlets there?
Freshwater fish items are coming into Kuwait, targeting the Bangladeshi community. The rest of the diaspora are not the target customers. But certainly, items like Rohu, Katla, Pabla, Tengra, and Bombay duck are imported in very large quantities into UAE. And from there, some quantities are coming to Kuwait, but at the same time, direct imports are also coming into Kuwait. It is not very much a favored item among the Indians, if I may say so, more so with Bengalis as well as Bangladeshi people. It's a favor. It's a delicacy.
Thank you. That's a good information. And an exporter from Calcutta has raised an issue that they are unable to export due to logistic issues by air. Of course, this I am not sure whether the embassy can also take note of this point. If any chance is there to have an air connectivity between Calcutta and Middle East, it will be very good. I think due to paucity of time, we can stop the question and answer session now. And let us, one more question. Any payment policies are there? I think Mr. Kedar has asked the question between Kuwait and India.
Normal payment terms such as LC and CAD are the accepted terms, and it is happening, it's working very well, and there is no need for any other concern about the payment terms. The banks in Kuwait are highly reputed, very well, streamlined by the Central Bank of Kuwait. There is no need for any fear for the exporters to accept the CAD terms. I would say that most of the exports are on CAD terms and very few on LC terms. Well, in the case of LC, for the first time exporter or first time importer, they may ask for some, to be on the safe side, but CAD is working very well. And the kind of fear that one may have with the banks and the quality of the banking in certain African countries or elsewhere need not be there for Kuwait banks. Kuwait banks are very highly regulated, and they are perhaps equal to any other reputed international bank in the world.
Right. Thank you, sir. And actually, I'm waiting for one more question, which is getting typed if time permits. How is the consumption trend for breaded fish fillets? And this is one question. It's a value-added product, of course.
Is the question over?
How is the consumption trend or what is the demand breaded fish fillets?
Breaded fish fillet, as with any other breaded product, is primarily a retail product. In the food service or in the catering, breaded fish fillet is not a kind of a popular item. But in the retail market, we see a lot of breaded fish products, fresh fish fillets, as well as breaded shrimp and breaded squid rings, etc. And it's quite popular, very popular, but I do not have the statistics of how much it is being sold, etc. I may be excused for that. But definitely breaded fish products and breaded various types of products are quite popular in the retail market.
That's very encouraging information, sir. I think let us stop the session due to paucity of time.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions more, sorry. frozen loligo, squid, and reef cod market in Kuwait?
A small market for that product.
Only a limited market.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I think let us stop the question and answer session for now, and over to Anju for vote of thanks. Thank you very much. Thank you all for joining the question and answer session.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mohandas, sir, and others.
Good afternoon, everyone. Respected Chairman, Madam Srimati Smita Patil, First Secretary, Embassy of India, Kuwait, Mr. Alex Tanan, Mr. Mohandas Security, and other dignitaries attending the program. I have been given the opportunity to propose vote of thanks. First and foremost, I would like to thank our respected Chairman for his constant encouragement and motivation. Sir, in spite of his busy schedule, ensures that he is always present for these programs, and he comes up with new ideas, and he motivates us so that we can work towards getting a better market access for the exporters. So on my personal behalf and on behalf of MPEDA, sir, I extend my gratitude and thanks to you. Next, I would like to thank His Excellency, Ambassador. Sir was not present, but his message was very positive, vibrant, motivating us. And I think we can promise him that we'll try in every way to reach the target. Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to thank Srimati Smita Patil, First Secretary, Political and Commerce, Embassy of India, Kuwait. Madam was very cooperative, and without her cooperation, this program wouldn't have been successful. Thank you, Madam. Thank you on behalf of MPEDA and my personal behalf. Thank you, Madam. Next, I would like to thank Mr. Alex Tanan, Regional President, SEI Kerala. Sir has always considered a request in spite of whatever busy schedule he has. He comes, he joins the meeting and always gives some valuable inputs. So thank you, sir. Thank you for being here and encouraging us. Thank you so much. Next, I would like to thank Mr. Mohandas Keke, Managing Director, Captain Fisher Foodstar. It was a wonderful speech, sir, taking a journey, taking us down the memory lane from 70s to the present, filling it with anecdotes which are so interesting and keeping us hooked throughout the speech. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for the talk. Next, I would like to thank our Joint Director, Dr. Ram Mohan, for the interesting moderation, putting across the question with his viewpoints, making it more interesting, and I hope it has helped a lot of exporters and everybody who has joined the meeting. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Next, I would like to thank our Deputy Director, Dr. T.R. Jibin Kubar, for the wonderful presentation, highlighting the seafood scenario which is happening at present, and also helping us to look into where and all we can work towards achieving the target and progressing for accessing better market. Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to thank each and every exporter who, in spite of their various schedules, have come and joined. We have more than 80 members with us here. Thank you. Each time, whenever we invite, you have come forward. Without you, this program wouldn't be successful. So thank you. Thank you so much. I would like to thank each and every officer of embassy and our MPEDA officials from the field and head office, and all the technical staffs who have helped us for a smooth conduct of the program. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Srimati Anju, and thank you everyone for joining us for this session, and have a good day. Jai Hind.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.